Now, the purpose of this final session is really looking at continue to support yourself in the future. You've talked a bit about sort of how the Tom's drug use has affected your husband and your daughter. Now, do you think there's the possibility, in terms of where we could go with the work, is whether your husband or your daughter would consider attending for support with you?
Well, I think I could persuade Andrew.
Right, okay.
Because I think he needs to talk to someone other than me.
Yeah.
I don't know about Melissa, she's at that awkward age. Is there any way that you could help me communicate with her as a young person? Is there a leaflet or something that I can give her to read on the service?
Well, one of the resources that we do have that we've developed to support family members is we've got a self-help manual. Now that might be something that you could give to Melissa to read. It kind of looks at the kind of 5 steps that we've been going through in each session, but also there's a web-based version, so that if she's like many young people, if she's used to kind of going on the internet, we've got an internet version of the manual.
Oh, I think that might well appeal to her.
I think we could practice as well how you'd talk to her. Imagine you're in that situation where I'm Melissa, I've come home and you're wanting to talk to her about, coming for support with you or having an appointment with you. What would you say to her?
Well, I suppose I could open it by referring to what I've been doing. Like, well, Melissa, you know I've been attending the 5-step counselling service recently.
Yeah.
And I've told you a little bit about the things we've been discussing around Tom's drug use.
Yeah.
They think it might be helpful for other family members to be involved as well. And they're wondering if you and Daddy would perhaps agree to come with me next time to discuss things. How does that sound to you, Melissa?
So Yasmin, last time we met, we were talking about support for you, and who's around for you, and you were really also concerned about any kind of support that Sajid might be able to get at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what thoughts you've had about that.
Well, there are our uncles. One of our uncles, he used to see a lot when he used to go to the mosque, but because he stopped going, he's seen him less and less, and I think my uncle knows that there's problems, so it's a bit difficult at the moment. So I don't know who else he could speak to really apart from him.
How would you feel about speaking to Sajid's uncle about getting some help for Sajid?
I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know. I'd feel a bit awkward, to be honest.
Would it help at all if I came along with you to support you in doing that?
Would you come with me?
I could do, yeah, if that would be helpful to you.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think, that'd take some of the pressure off, and I don't know, just to have you there.
Okay, well, that's we can arrange that certainly later on. Think about the details and how we might go about doing that.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Something else that we talked about last week was the difficulty that you've had with sort of being really involved in your community. We were talking about possibly finding out some kind of local women's groups that were going on, that you might just be able to go out and meet new people.
Yeah, away from the family.
Yeah. And I did look into that, and I've got some information about a couple of groups fairly near you that certainly I can pass over to you, and you can see
I'd like
how
that.
you feel about that. And the other thing was about you were thinking about maybe starting college, or
I've wanted to start a course for a while now, and I've been thinking about massage.
What sort of things are going to help you, support yourself or continue dealing with the situation?
I think that, what's been really helpful since the last time is you sort of categorising the strategies.
Right. Okay.
Because I know that if I'm avoiding or if I'm confronting, at least now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And at least I know that if that's not working, then I can try one of the other strategies, because it's defined and because it's now a resource that I can use to try and help. And that's very useful. So the next stage is obviously, as we discussed last time, is talking to my son.
Yeah. And I guess it can be quite daunting to think, what words am I going to use? Where should I talk to him?
Yeah.
In what way should I say it? I mean, I guess one thing I can offer, something that we do in supporting people is if you felt it was going to be, helpful and supportive to you, rather than us just talking about it and you go off and meet with your son and do it. The other option is that we could meet here or at another venue where you, I and your son could meet together. Yeah. And as much, I can be there in whatever capacity will help you, whether it's for me to just be there, to support you if you're finding it difficult in terms of what to say, or if you wanted to help me sort of, set the scene so you could then talk to your son. Whatever would help you, really. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that sounds really sensible. It sounds helpful. Not here, because you'll get the, you'd obviously, but I mean, say on some sort of neutral ground.
Hi Barbara, it's really good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Well, we haven't met for about 5 weeks now, isn't it? It was the last time that we met. We thought we'd sort of have a bit of a break and see how far you got with things and then be able to meet up after that, really, to see how you got on. How have things been over the last few weeks? Any?
It's not actually been too bad. I mean, obviously things aren't perfect, but there have been some changes and, some positive changes, so that's good. I think we've still got a long way to go, but, things are moving in the right direction.
Okay, what's changed for the better?
Well, I have actually been away for the weekend, the whole weekend, Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, great.
Leaving Rob in charge, which I think he really enjoyed, actually, because obviously he doesn't get a lot of one-on-one time with Chloe, so...
Right.
Yeah, so for the first time in ages, Rob and me were able to go for a night out, leaving Chloe with Helen, which is brilliant. And I know it's like really obvious and simple, but the fact that you'd kind of mentioned it and drew on the diagram about all these different people around me who are there, you don't think about that though. So it's been brilliant, really, coming here and hearing how simple it can be just to draw on the people who are around you for support. And I don't think I'd known that if it hadn't been for you, pointing it all out. Yeah. I didn't know whether it would work or not at first. But just making small changes, and it's not just me battling against the world, which is how I felt at the beginning. So
well, that's really good to hear. And in terms of sort of things in the future, then you were talking last time about the worries about the wedding and getting everything sorted out and planning it. Are you getting any support, or can you think of any ways that you can get support with that?
I've started involving my mum. In a small way, in different little bits of planning for the wedding, and I worried about that at first because I didn't want to kind of put it upon her, and give her something extra to worry about. But in a way, she's kind of really enjoyed that. It's kind of taken her mind off stuff, things at home. And Helen as well has been helping me with that.
Right. Okay. So, in terms of how things are in the family, that's shifted a little bit because you're kind of working alongside your mum and Helen in some sort of joint project, and that feels quite good.
It does, because we're working, we're all three of us working together on it.
Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about was how a little while back you were mentioning that you'd spoken to Carol about some mother and toddler groups that were around, and that you'd kind of thought the idea of that sounded really good because it would help you a lot when Rob is away and you're feeling a little bit, like you don't have people to talk to. I'm just wondering what might be the next step for you in being able to get to any of those groups.